Yo, yo, what's going on? See everybody start flowing in here, or watch it later. Won't matter. I'm going to do a couple trade reviews. Tomorrow is Monday, September 16th. I'm going to do a couple trade reviews from Friday, a few days ago, and then I'm going to run through my watch list, and then if anyone pops in, I'll answer a couple ticker questions. But yeah, see where we're at. So we'll start off here. It looks like I've got Till on the screen. So this one here was from Friday. And I put some on as a starter off the open and cut that one fairly quickly. If I go to, I'm going to swap screens here and go to the 5-minute and pull up Till. So my trade here was off the open right here and a quick cut because looking left, we had this big parabolic on exhaustion volume on the prior day. And then we got a gap within that range with some overhead supply. So I had put some on, small starter, used about 1/10 to 1/4. Moving up in the world, good to see. How's it going, Oliver? So yeah, I put some on using the Thursday's range as a guide, about 1/10 of my borrowed shares, and then I just moved on quickly. It wasn't failing, it wasn't going red, so I just let that one be. The other trade was UPC as a day 2 China pump short, and if I go to Clue from, let me see, maybe I go here. What was it? 707, 05 and 07, 08. There we go. So Clue, I saw this as kind of that same price range, dipping down here through the 2s into the 1s, and that slow little fizzle here in pre-market. And then by market open, you get that last little shove and fades off to that 50-cent range. So something like UPC did that same kind of thing where it pulls from that 2s into the 1s. And I missed this move. It was all halts. But now this day SSR, so I'm waiting for pops, and right there at market open you get this pop and then fizzle off. This one went even lower, but I can show my trade on this one right here. So I'm leaning on that all off the open. Let me see here, right there. So I'm leaning on that all off the open. And then I was fairly patient here using a prior bar 5-minute trailing stop, prior bar highs. And once it broke was here, but here I'm just covering into weakness into that 50-cent target. So nice trade there. And then my last trade from Friday was QH. Was a first green day play, and I had put some on as a starter in pre-market, let that opening range or that opening dip flush, bought the opening range highs, scaled into that winner, locked on the hard crack lower high. Noticed it was kind of basing over prior highs, prior pre-market highs, so I put a starter back on, reacted to this flush using low a day as a guide, and then got that straight up shove into prior close, which was that green move that I was looking for. High end of the goal was that 140, 150 range, but I just ended up locking it all in. So a little single there. But those are the 3 trades from that day. So there's the review. This chart's back up. Perfect. Arnas, what's going on? Just joining now. Nice cut on till. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Keep those losers small at the winner's run. That's the goal. It's definitely a main watch going into tomorrow. This daily chart is getting a bit silly, going from the 10s up to the 90s, almost, what is that, an 800% move? Volume starting to come in. Like, look at this volume profile here on the daily is right in the upper end of this daily range. Volume continues to speed up, getting to actual tradable levels in this 3 million range. Where 3 million at like a prior close of 80, what is that? That's 3 times 8, 240, 240, 300 million. So it's definitely tradable in dollar volume. So when this thing goes red, stays red, I think you get a nice 30 to 50% haircut. But yeah, SMMT, been hearing rumors about till kind of moving in sympathy with SMMT. This one not as ideal as a run-up for me, given that it has a catalyst behind this move. But till just moving on sympathy with it, if SMMT does pull back, this one will pull back, and there's no reason for this one to be up. So I think the pullback on something like this could be warranted. Are you going to post this video? Yeah, I'll leave this one public after I finish. This will be my watch list for tomorrow. I was just running through charts and running scans and stuff, and I thought I might as well do it on YouTube. Working out the kinks on this YouTube live thing, so I like to give it a try when I can. So yeah, till will be a watch definitely for tomorrow. Look for it to go red, stay red, opening range lows to break down, all those triggers that I mentioned, and look for those to prove themselves. If it wants to go higher, great, but there's no long in this for me at this point, just looking to the short side. What else? APLD pushes and shoves into that 650, 660 range on the daily. Keep getting met with resistance, so no plan there. QH, that first green day, has come and gone, so no plan there. AILE, recent runner, volume drying off, waiting to see if it wants to break out or just fizzle out. Same kind of thing with BLMZ, recent runner, pulled back. Want to see if this is a higher low to here or if this is a lower high to here, which way it's going to pick its trend. Lunar, I kind of like this one going forward because I know a lot of people were playing this breakout right here through the 6s and then got stopped out on this day. And now that it's ground back, I think it's not as crowded to the long side. Thanks, D. Yes, sir. No problem. So yeah, Lunar, I don't think it's going to be as crowded to the long side if and when this does start to prove over this 610, 620 range. It does have some overhead resistance, but in the past it's proven to go on multi-day runs. So now that it's kind of building, you've got these 3 days of wicks, and off the open, if it starts to set a base of 610, I like that for a trend join long up to that 650 to 7 range. As I was running scans, I noticed a lot of big picture daily charts going on huge multi-day runs. Some of them in the precious metals space, so NGD, new gold, not huge like percentage wise, but given like the relative range of its prior price action, this is definitely a speed up, volume starting to come in. AG in the silver space doing the same kind of thing. CDE, core mining, also speeding up. So just noting these, if they keep going higher and higher and have some nice range expansion volume starting to come in and speed up, I will be looking for short trades on that, but nothing immediate yet. I don't think the range is there to actually get a decent pullback worth trading. What do you think of GV? Let me look at GV. History of one-day runs. Pop and drop. Visionary holdings. Is there any sort of sector? Let me look up a catalyst here in a second. Basically a straight up move off the open. Let me see here. Straight up into a halt. Bit of choppy action, some failed fall through distribution. It's a nice failed fall through setup here through the 6s. Shove, stop out all the shorts, and then acts as resistance again. Zooming out, given like it's a 1-day failed runner, kind of like a steady grind into close, it's not really a bounce trade I would play on the backside. There is some range to do it. What kind of volume did this thing trade here? 1 million, yeah. Million shares on a $4 close is under that $8 million dollar volume requirement that I like to see for my backside bounces. So GV just not really something I would trade. It's a bit too far off the highs. 1-day failed spike, you're not really a multi-day run. And then that volume dry up. So just kind of a few too many caution signs for me to want to trade that one. Dawson, what's up? Franklin, how's it going? Jenica. Interesting name, kind of like Jessica. Are you watching OBLG for a first green day bounce? OBLG. No, this one was pushed by a mailer newsletter. Same group that did ASST. And it did have a good little backside bounce, but my mentality is once the squeeze has squoze, I don't really like to be involved in there. So they got their buyers in, and then volume it just disappeared. What is that? 2 million shares down from 33 million. So this thing is just riddled with bag holders at this point. Volume profile here, its main level is in this 530 range. It's acting as resistance. So I'd expect this 470 line to break down possibly tomorrow and fade back off possibly. More of a short watch, higher the better than a backside bounce for me. Franklin, PLCE, possible first red day tomorrow. I believe this one's up on earnings, and I have a few hundred first red day trades that I've tracked, like of my own, and most of my losses come from trying to short percent gainers that are earnings winners. So I typically avoid them. Chart wise, it's fitting that structure. But not all charts are created equal. Even if they look similar, you've got this volume dropping off, prices continuing higher. But this one would be more of a big picture on dips for secondary legs, not so much an overextension first red day. Some people trade them well, but I like to get in and have a set risk and let the trade work. I don't like to try and play off of levels and short and cover around a core and all that kind of thing. I like to kind of have a bias for the whole day and get that whole trend move and join that trend. So PLCE, just because it's up on earnings, I'd avoid that one. A few more watches I have here. SPI. Keep throwing tickers out. I don't mind commenting on them. SPI, I'm just going to keep an eye on this one. It keeps topping out up here in the 60-cent range. So I am keeping it on watch for a possible secondary leg. If it wants to break out of this channel, I'll set price alerts and take it off radar and just have it on a side screen. If those price alerts hit, I'll be that much more prepared to knowing that this 60-61 level is a trigger for me. So that's about the plan there. GP also hit scan green power for these big percent gainers, almost in that 100% range. Volume's a bit light for me. A trade on this wouldn't really be sizable at this point to trade, but just noting because of this price action, there's no real reason for it to be up. And hopefully this thing extends itself a bit further. PCT, Pure Cycle Technologies, same kind of thing, extending itself, but I don't really like this price range and its lack of range. But these precious metals are kind of interesting given the liquidity, it's kind of all you can eat size-wise. So I'm going to be hoping for these things to continue for another 2 or 3 days and then look for that mean reversion trade, ideally. Let me see. Gevo, I don't know if I mentioned that one. This one they acquired. I imagine there's more to that question. How'd you find out who pumped those? Just wondering. Thank you for responding to the chat, Jenica. It's it's a rabbit hole to go down. I've been tracking a lot of pumps for years, since 2022 when the China scams came into play, and they started doing, like, I think a ERC, I believe, was the first one. Oh wow, you can't even see the chart anymore. Jeez. But I believe that was the one. That was the first one. It went from like $100 down to like $3 in a day. It was a monster opportunity, and I saw some people nail it for like 7-figure days. And I just started reverse engineering, digging deeper into how and why they nailed that trade. And those China ones were WhatsApp, Telegram messages, hitting you up, and then it just went down. So now I know how these pumps work. I've watched video lessons and stuff from people like Gratani and Nate and those guys that traded the OTC era back in like 2014 when OTC promos, awesome penny stocks was a thing. So I know that they put out pump mailers, and then this WhatsApp version was the new pump mailer. And then there was, I can't remember the tickers off of my head. I listed them in a prior video lesson. I'd have to go back. I can't remember the list of them off the top of my head. But there was like 2 or 3 names that started going. I think one of them was in sympathy with Serve. It started with a C, I believe. But it started going with Serve, and people thought it was just a sympathy off of sector momentum. But I started reading stuff on Twitter, and people were saying it was pumped as a sympathy to it. It wasn't actually a sympathy move. So once that hit the headlines, the price just tanked. So I started reverse engineering all these people saying it was a pump, it was a newsletter, and just going online, doing whatever searches I could, and trying to reverse engineer all these good traders that I know and respect, and trying to figure out on my own without just reaching out, asking questions, try and figure out on my own, dig deeper a bit, and then if I have questions at that point, show that I put in the effort, and then go out and ask. So I'm not going to say exactly who is pumping them because it is an edge, but I will say that I just told you 2 of the names, and if you try and look around, reverse engineer, and put in some effort, it is findable. Can you explain why SPY had a bounce day? Not really. It just, stock prices, they go up, go down, they push, pull, consolidate, and choose their direction. So something like SPY on its daily chart, once this big volume day comes in, now I see this as a 30 cent to 60 cent range. That's the range on the daily it's set in now. So these days, like, if it gets into the upper end of the range, you could, like, there's edge in the edges, right, of daily ranges. So if this thing flushes down to 30 cents in a hurry, there's edge in that for a bounce trade. If this thing speeds up into 60 cents, there's edge in that for a short trade. But within that range, if it's tighter, grinding, consolidating, I just see it as going sideways. And so, like, SPY on Friday, for me to explain why it bounced, if I knew it was going to bounce, I would have been buying it for that bounce, but I didn't know it was going to bounce. My plan on this is once it breaks out of this range it's set, then I'll look to join a trend because I think there's edge in that. So as to why it bounced, no, I can't explain it. I just kind of, my process for planning trades is if it does this, then I do X. So if this breaks 61 and starts to build over it, then I like to join it as a long risk on low a day or red to green or something like that. And what do you look for in a bounce on the backside? QH is a good example because I just traded that one. I think you were on here earlier when I looked at that trade, I believe. I had shown my execution, so if you missed it, it was right at the beginning of this in the first few minutes. I had gone over my first few trades, but this one went from 30 cents to 220. That's a multi 100% move where I think there's range in this, that elastic has stretched itself so far up to 220s that I think it's going to snap back when that thing releases. So this daily chart extending from 30 cents after hours, it went to $3. I like this for an overextension first red day. I believe I traded on this day as an overextended gap up. This day I shorted it again, as now it's red on the day. It's below prior support, now becoming resistance. But now this thing has gone from $3, so the elastic was stretched and stretched from 30 cents to $3. It snaps back and it goes from $3 down to 90 cents. So now it's been stretched the other way. Now it's gone 30 cents back down to 90 cents, back in that daily range I just explained on SPY. So once it gets closer and closer to the edges of each side of that range, then I think there's room for that mean reversion trade. So now it gets down to 90 cents. That's almost retraced the whole move. I'm anticipating that reversal trade. The dollar volume requirement I like to look at is about $8 million. And this one had that. So you get that range expansion, you get that dollar volume requirement, you get that front side big percent gain multi-day move. And then once it starts to pull back, I need some room for it to bounce. And where was prior resistance? I keep that line there right at the 140s. And where does it go to? Right under 140. So keeping key levels on the way up and looking to use them on the way back down. So this is an ideal trade that I like to use for bounces. Could APLD be on watch for potential molecule? Yes. APLD I do have on watch. Each time it's tested the 650s, 660s, it's acted as resistance and pulled back from there. So I had tried it on this day, I believe. One of the days, I was a bit premature. I had posted my executions on one of my watch lists on these days. But I believe I was trading this little wedge break, and I think I joined it on this day and was anticipating that breakout, and it got stuffed. So I'm buying into that edge, like the edge of the range where there should be edge to the short side, until it breaks over it. Now shorts are underwater that we're using that level as a stop. And now once it breaks, builds, and starts to use that 660 as support, then now shorts are underwater, longs are in control, and I like to join that trend for higher. So yeah, and I do have it on watch, but so far 660 has just kept acting as resistance. So I'm assuming it fails there until it starts to prove me otherwise. If there's no more questions, I'll let you guys absorb some of that stuff. I kind of went on a bit of a passionate rant there. But watches for me tomorrow, like actionable stuff, would be probably Lunar, if it breaks and builds over 610s. Gevo, ideally a gap up parabolic. I like a red day on this move, just because they acquired another company for like $200 million. They bought some company. So I don't really see a reason for it to double on them buying another company. You're welcome, Franklin. No problem. So yeah, I like this one for a mean reversion trade as the elastic is starting to stretch. Not a bias, but just looking for that little snap back and then move in, move out, move on. Till, same kind of thing. This thing is getting stretched. And I think early this week could get a nice pullback. T-Not, I don't know if you guys saw this one on Friday. It went to $130 pre-market. I had a few friends. Some of them were shorting early. They were able to just ride the stop for basically terrible risk reward, but got out for a gain. And some people got blown out into that. It was nasty. Super early pre-market. Nothing you can do. It gapped up, closed way below its open, and then in pre-market it's up at $130 from a $4 close. Like you can't prepare for something like this. But that's just, it was wild. I heard some horror stories. So basically the reason why I don't like to swing short overnight. Thank you. Appreciate your transparency. Yeah, for sure, Oliver. No problem. Anything I can help with. I had lots of people offer their time to me over the years, so I just do my best to give back where I can. So T-non, like, this is a short setup for me with the gap up, close below the open. But given its history, the risk is not worth any potential reward on this thing. So that's an avoid. SMMT, it is biotech, but I think I'd prefer to trade TIL on smaller size, wider risk, than trade SMMT personally. What else? We had those precious metal names. Yeah, so main watches are probably Givo, TIL, and Lunar going into tomorrow. A couple shorts, couple longs, but those are probably my main watches. Thanks, UNIU and the Wolf Pack. Oh yeah, Family Man, I recognize that name for sure, dude. Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in. That concludes my watch list. Get in where you fit in, make some memories, and I will see you guys in the room. Thanks for joining me.